Hello and welcome to everyone for the lesson 1 of GCSE Maths with Shabbir. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to be teaching you GCSE Maths topics on Tuesdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. So make sure you're tuning into every lesson at 11 a.m. to keep watching. I'll be teaching you a different topic every single lesson. So make sure you've got your pen, your paper and calculator at the ready every lesson. Now, just to tell you a bit about who I am, who's going to be teaching you maths for the foreseeable future. My name's Shabbir from Kapasi Maths Tutoring. I've been a maths teacher for 7 years, taught in 2 different secondary schools. I've also, for the last 3 years, been tutoring GCSE and A-level maths students. I also work with a few different schools providing Year 11 maths intervention. And I thought, since so many kids, year 7s, 8s, 9s and 10s have been out of school for so long and not being able to kind of have their maths lessons, I've been trying to think of a way to kind of reach out and help more of you with your maths, as it's so important not to kind of lose track of that. So this is who these lessons are aimed for, really. However, you know, if you're a parent and want to help kind of more, want to help your students with your maths work, then you know, join in. So really, it's for everyone who wants to learn more maths. I've had someone who contacted me quite recently and said, can I join? You know, she's not a secondary student, but one of her lockdown challenges was to kind of teach herself maths during the lockdown. So she wanted to join. So yeah, you know, I'd be happy to have kind of everyone who's watching, and thank you all for kind of taking the time today to log in and watch this very first live maths lesson with myself. So what I'll also be doing is well, trying to give a shout out to as many people who are watching. So kind of make sure you let me know what year group you're in, what school you go to, whereabouts in the world, in the UK that you're watching from. I'd love to know. So yeah, now I just wanted to kind of tell you a bit of the format about how these lessons will work. So I'm going to be starting off with a little, hopefully fun starter to get kind of your brains warmed up and in the kind of maths, in the maths vibe. And that fun kind of starter will be for everyone. It won't just be for kind of children or students. So anyone who's in your house, if you're watching this right now, kind of get them involved. Let's have a little bit of a competition, see who can get that first answer for the first kind of activity that we're going to do. Then we'll go into the lesson. And today's lesson will be about writing numbers as prime factor decomposition or product of prime factors, and then using that to work out the highest common factor, lowest common multiple. Once the lesson is over, and they won't be an hour then or a set time, once I've spent as long as I feel necessary to kind of teach you that topic, I'm going to provide a link to more questions below, and those questions will follow on from the lesson, and it'll help you to keep practicing as well as deepen your understanding. So make sure once this lesson is over, you kind of go to the link, which I'll put in the comments after this lesson, and keep practicing, further your understanding, because with maths, the most important thing is to practice. Keep practicing those questions, and make sure you've got the answers when you're practicing those questions to see whether it's right or wrong. Okay, so let's start with giving a few shout outs. We've got Sam Sam Mutton-Davies, that is from Stoke-on-Trent. Hello to you. Let me know what year group you're in. Let me know whereabouts you're also kind of watching from. Okay, so let's begin with this first activity. Now I want parents to be joining in. Everyone get yourselves a pen, a paper. You won't need a calculator for this first bit. I'm just going to share my screen so you can see the questions that I'm going to be using as a whiteboard. Okay. So you'll be able to see that on your screen now. As you can see, it's the countdown numbers game. I love this game. Everyone loves it. Kind of everyone can get involved with this, and that's why I love it. So for anyone who's never played this game before, I'm going to be putting 6 numbers into these bottom boxes, and you've got to use those numbers to make this target number here. Now you can only use each number once. You don't have to use all the numbers. So yeah, make sure you don't have to use all the numbers. You can only use each number once. You cannot use a calculator for this. You can add, subtract, multiply, and divide those numbers as many times as you want to make this target number. So grab yourself something to write with and a piece of paper, and let's begin. So the numbers that we're going to be using today are 100, 75, 4, 10, 3, and 2. So write those down. I'm going to give you 5 minutes for this first activity. Make sure you get your parents involved. Obviously, if they're working, you don't want to be disrupting them. But if they're not working, get them involved. See if they can do this, or if you beat them, who's quicker. Right. So the target number that you've got to make with those numbers are 259. 259. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. Okay. Got it on my timer here, and your time starts now. Let's go. And whilst people are doing that, I'm just going to kind of give a few more people a shout out. Tracy Bloor, hello to you. We've got, so make sure you only use each number once. You don't have to use all the numbers. You're trying to make that 259. Sophie Jane, hello to you. We've got Mr. Mamuji. Have you got it yet? 259 is the number that you're trying to make. Okay. Let me know it. Let me know if you've worked it out. You've got 3.5 minutes left. Okay. You can only add, subtract, multiply, or divide, guys. Mustafa Hussein, thank you for watching. And well done to everyone who's taking part in this, who's watching this, that willingness kind of to learn more maths. That is what is going to help you to kind of achieve and to go on to kind of pass your maths GCSE. There was 175, 4, 10, 3, and 2. Can you make that number 259? Maisie Winkle. I think I used to teach Maisie when I was at school. Thank you for tuning in. Year 10, Aaron Lovekin from Madeley High School. That used to be my kind of local school that I went to. This is awesome. 2 minutes left. Ali, Muhammad Ali, wish you were my teacher. Oh, someone's got 258. Oh, yeah, we've got a year 10 from Shavington Academy. That's in Crewe. Okay, 1.5 minutes left. Let's see if anyone can get the 259. I got it. Obviously, can any of you get it? Dylan Wintle, another one of my ex-students. By the way, share, if you can share this and get more people to watch, I'd really appreciate it. Tell more people about this. I'm going to be doing this Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 a.m. Yeah, let's get kind of, I'd love if we can get kind of 100 people to be watching these maths lessons to help 100 more students to go on to then pass their maths GCSE. That would be brilliant. Mrs. Banner, don't think she's in year 7, but hello to you too. Okay, guys, 30 seconds on the clock. And I do apologize if I'm not going to be able to shout kind of everyone out. You've got a year 8 from Shavington. Caden Hurst, I'm from St. Joe's College and I'm in year 7. Thank you for watching. Okay, 10 seconds on the clock. Did you get it? Did your parents or anyone who's watching this with you, did they get it before you or did you get it before them? We'll be doing this for the first 5 minutes of every kind of lesson. And there it is, guys, your time is up. Okay, so how do we get 259? There's probably lots of different ways to do this, but the way that I did it and the way that I always kind of approach these kind of questions is to think, well, can I use these big numbers, you know, to make a number that's close to 259. So in this case, I used 100 and took 75 away, which gives you 25. So I've used these two. I then multiplied that 25 by 10, which is 250. And then is 9. And then I did 250 plus the 9, which gives you the 259. Who got that? I wonder who got that. Hadim Waliji, yes. Thank you for watching. Right, let's go on to what we're going to be learning about today then. So like I said earlier, today's topic is going to be about writing a number as a product of its prime factors. And using that to work out the highest common factor and then the lowest common multiple. Okay, so now the first thing that you kind of need to be able to do before we can write any numbers as a product of its prime factors is you need to be really confident with what a prime number is. Okay, and as I'm going through this, make sure you're kind of making notes on this and make sure your notes are kind of clearly set out so that then you can use them when you have a go at the questions after this lesson. So what is a prime number? A prime number is a number that, so make sure you write that down, a number that only has 2 factors and the one itself. So now the most important thing to remember about this is one is not a prime number. Why is 1 not a prime number? Because if you think about kind of what numbers go into 1, well, it's just 1, it's just itself. So 1 is not a prime number because it only has 1 factor and that's itself. We need numbers that only have 2 factors. Okay, so let me give you an example. So 2 is a prime number, because if I think about the numbers that multiply to make 2, then those numbers are 1 times 2. 1 times 2 equals 2, and I can't think of any more numbers that multiply to make 2. So 2 is a prime number. Okay, let's pick another number. 10. Is 10 a prime number? Well, what numbers do I multiply together to make 10? So 2 times 5, 1 and 10. Okay, now that has got, the only numbers I can think of for 3 are 1 times 3. So 3 is a prime number. Okay, and that is how you can distinguish between whether a number is a prime number or not. Now, maybe for the benefit of what we're going to move on to next, we'll write down the first few prime numbers, and the first one is 2. So 2 is the very first prime number, because the only numbers that multiply together are 1, 2. Then we've got the 3. So let's have a think. 4, is 4 a prime number? No, because you can do 2 times 2. 5, yes, because 1 times 5 is 6. No, 6 isn't a prime number, because you've got 1 times 6, you've also got 2 times 3, so 6 isn't. 7, yep, 7, 1 times 7, 8, no. And any even number apart from 2 will not be a prime number, because 2 goes into it. Not 8, not 9, because 3 times 3. 10, no, because 2, that makes 2 times 5. And then 11, 1 times 11. And that's the only one that makes 11, so that is a prime number. 12, no, you've got 3 times 4, that makes 12. 13, yes, because 1 times 13. Okay, so they're the first few prime numbers. It'd be worth writing those down. So let's have a look at how we can write a number as a product of its prime factors. Okay, so here's your first example. Write 100 as a product of its prime factors. Write that down. What if you would like to, what you could do is choose your very own number, and as I'm going through this example, you can do the same thing but with your number if you really want to. Otherwise, you can start with 100 and go through it with me. So 100. So what I'm going to do is think of 2 numbers that multiply together to make 100. It can be any 2 numbers. I'm just going to go for 2 times 50. So 2 times 50 multiply together to make 100. And that's the first thing I'm going to write down. Now, I'm going to look at whether either of these numbers are prime numbers. Okay, and 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle 2. 50 isn't a prime number, so what we need to do is continue to branch off 50, and again think of 2 numbers that multiply together to make 50. So what 2 numbers multiply together to make 50? 2 and 25 you could have, so I'm going to write that there. And again, okay, so 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle 2. And 25 isn't, so I can branch off 25, multiply together to make 25 is 5 times 5. Okay, and I do apologize if at any point I break up. I'm just crossing my fingers that the internet connection kind of holds out for this lesson. So with the 25, 2 numbers that multiply to make 25 are 5 times 5, and both of those are prime numbers. So we can now write our number 100 as a product of its primes, and our answer would be all of these numbers that I've circled multiplied together. So the answer would be 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. And what we tend to do is put those in order. Okay, put those in kind of order, size order from smallest to biggest. And that is how we write a number as a product of its primes. Now I'm going to do another example, and this time we're going to use 160. So we're going to write 160 as a product of its primes. If you want to have a go at this yourself, feel free to do that. I'm just going to go through this. So 160, again, we're going to think of two numbers that multiply together to give us 160. That would be 16 and 10. We can have 16 and 10 there. Are either of those numbers prime numbers? No, they're not. So we would branch off both of these numbers. Okay, here I'm going to think of two numbers that multiply together to give me 16. So 2 and 8 I could have, and 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle 2. 8 isn't a prime number, so I can branch off 8, and I get 2 and 4 times together to make 8. Again, circle the 2, it's a prime. 4 isn't prime, which gives me 2 times 2, and I can circle both of them. So let's go back to 10 and do the same with that. So 2 times 5 make 10, circle the 2 and the 5 because both of them are prime. So 160 as a prime number is all of these numbers that I've circled multiplied together. So the answer would be 2 times 2 times 2, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times another 2 times 5. Right, I'm going to get you guys now to have a go at this. I'm going to give you a few minutes to have a go at a couple of questions. Okay, again, you're going to have probably 4 minutes on 2 questions to see if you can work them out, and I'll go through them with you. Okay, here we go. There's your 2 questions. Write 90 as a product of primes and 620. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes, and whilst you guys are having a go at these yourselves, I'm going to have a go at doing some more shout outs. So again, let me know if you're watching. Got Sakina Baldwinsgate Primary School Year 5. That's awesome. Yep. We've got Chris Hurst or Sienna Hurst and Caden Hurst from Langdale Primary School in Year 5. That's awesome. Year 5's even watching this. Getting ahead of the game. Okay, you've got 3 more minutes on these questions, and then I'll quickly go through them to make sure you've got them right before we move on. Two minutes left on these questions. Okay, so hopefully you should have done the first one. Moving on to that second one. You've had half the time. One and a half minutes left, guys. Also, at the end of the lesson, when we finish this lesson. I'd appreciate kind of any feedback, anything you think I could do to make these lessons better for you, because the lessons that I'm providing, kind of, they're all to help kind of students and more people. So any feedback would be really appreciated. One more minute before we go through these questions. Okay, let's see how we did with these. Okay, so 90 as a product of its prime factors. Now, remember, you can, as long as you've got the right answer, how you do it could differ to the way I do it. So I'm going to do 2 times 45, circle the 2, and then 9 times 5 is 45, circle the 5, and then to make 9, it's 3 and 3, and both of those are prime. So your answer should be 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. I hope you got that. And then for 620, quite a big number there, we've got 62 and 10. Neither of those are prime numbers. So two numbers that multiply to make 62, that would be 2 and 31. And both of those are prime numbers. And then for 10, we've got 2 and 5. Both of those are prime numbers. So your answer for this one in order would be 2 times 2 times 5. And I'm back. Apologies for the internet connection. So we're going to move on to now using this to work out the highest common factor and lowest common multiple for a number. Okay, now let me just quickly explain what the highest common factor of two numbers is. So the highest common factor is a number, and the biggest number, the highest number that goes into, in this case, 168 and 196. The biggest number that goes into those two, that's the highest common factor. And the lowest common multiple is the smallest number that's in both of those times tables. Just to help the internet connection, I'm just going to switch off the camera. You'll still be able to hear me going through this example. Hopefully it'll be a better connection. So here we go. We've got to work out the highest common factor and lowest common multiple of 168, 196. So the first thing that you are going to do is write 168, 196 as a product of its primes. So do what we did with these two numbers just before. Okay, so 196, I want you to write those numbers as a product of its primes. So 2, what can you multiply together to make 168? That will be 2 and 84. Circle the 2 because it's a prime number. Numbers that multiply together to give you 84 would be 2 and 42. Again, we can circle the 2 because it's a prime. 42 numbers that multiply together for that one would be 6 and 7. Circle the 7 because it's prime. And for 6, we've got 2 and 3, and we can circle both of them. So the numbers writing 168 as a product of its primes would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. And we're going to do the same for 196. So for 196, two numbers that multiplied together to give you 196 would be 2 and 98. Circle the 2 again. We can use 2 again to make to times together to make 100, to make the 98 there. What two numbers multiplied together to make 98? That would be 2 and 49. Circle the 2 because it's a prime number. And finally, for 49, we can have 7 and 7, and both of those are prime numbers. So here we've got 2 times 2 times 7 times 7. Okay, now to work out the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple for those two numbers, what we need to do is draw a Venn diagram, which I'm just going to draw here. Okay, and one of these circles is going to represent 168. The other one is going to represent 196. And what we need to do firstly is we're going to be putting these numbers into our Venn diagram. So we're going to start with the number that goes into the middle. Okay, what numbers are in both of these? Now, this is where students usually make mistakes. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. So there is a 2 here and a 2 in that one. So we only put 1, 2 in the middle. Okay, because now this 2 is both in the 196 circle and in the 168 circle. So we only need 1, 2 for that one. There is also a 2 there and another 2 there. So we're going to put another 2 in the middle. So now we've got 2 2s in the 196 circle and 2 2s in the 168 circle. Okay, there's also a 7 in both of them that I've highlighted, which means a 7 will go into the middle. There is nothing left that's now in both of them, so I can finish this Venn diagram off. So if I look at the 168 circle, I've got a 2 and a 3 left that I need to put in. And as you can see, as I'm going through this, I am ticking off the ones that I've used. That's really important. And then in the 196 circle, I've just got this 7, which I'm going to put here. Okay, so let's just check to make sure we've done this right. So in this 196 circle, we've got a 2, a 2, a 7, and a 7. That matches here. And in the 168 circle, I've got a 2, a 2, a 2, a 3, and a 7, which also matches what I've got here. That's so I know I've done it correct. Now for the final bit is writing down and working out the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple. So for the highest common factor, we are going to multiply all the numbers in this middle section. That is going to give us the highest common factor of these two numbers. So we're going to do 2 times 2 times 7. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So 28 is the highest common factor of both of these numbers. And to work out the lowest common multiple, we are going to multiply all of the numbers in the Venn diagram together. All of them. Okay? So we're going to do 2 times 2. And I always do them kind of in order, but you could just go move from left to right. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 7. And this is where now you could use a calculator. So 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 7 times 7 would be 1,176. Okay, and that is the lowest common multiple of both of these two numbers. So I'm just going to make a little note. For the highest common factor, we multiply the numbers in the middle. And for the lowest common multiple, multiply all the numbers in the Venn diagram. Okay, now the lesson, this kind of topic is grade 5. So it would be both on the higher paper. If you're in year 10 doing your GCSEs, it would also be kind of in the foundation paper. Okay, and the lessons that I'm going to be covering, I'm going to try to kind of aim them to as many of you as possible. Okay, I'm just going to try to put my video back on, and I do apologize for the internet connection. I will try to get that sorted. So that is my lesson on writing a number as a product of its primes and then using that to work out the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to tell your friends. Get them to subscribe, get them to tune in for the next lesson, which is 9, which is Friday at 11 a.m. I'm going to be doing this every Tuesday, every Friday, 11 a.m. Let me know in the comments what topic, if there's a topic that you really struggle with, that you really want me to go through. I'm going to try to include those in any in the lessons that I do between kind of in the next series of lessons. So what I'll now be doing is putting a comment with a link to more of these questions, because like I said, the key with maths and to get better and better with maths is to keep practicing more and more questions. So make sure after this lesson, you do go onto the comments. It may take a couple of minutes to kind of pop up. I'm also going to kind of write the specific questions that you should be having a go at answering, whether they're the practice questions or whether they're challenge questions. So if you found this easy, have a go at those challenge questions and see if you can really push yourselves. All right. Thank you for watching, guys. Tune in Friday, 11 a.m.